Okay,
And
that's fine.
hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview where today we have someone who I grew up on and who, while he's not an expert on autism necessarily, he's a supporter of autism community. He has a nephew on the spectrum. You've probably seen him on Food Network, Iron Chef, Guys Grocery Games, Cutthroat Champion. He's been around the world. He's written several food articles. It's Simon Majumdar. Thanks for coming on, Simon.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. This is really great for me to be coming on this show.
Of course, the pleasure's mine. My first question I ask all my guests is, for those that don't know the name of Simon Majumdar, what's your story in your own words?
Oh my gosh. Well, if I look at my story over I'm 61 now, so I have to. But when I started, I was actually going to be a theologian. I was going to be an Anglican priest. Um, but then I got into publishing. So the publishing helped me because with there, I went to kitchens. I was publishing a lot of cookery books. So that really got me into, I mean, always in our family, we've always been into cookery the whole time. When I get in touch with my family or my wife's family, we're always that's the only thing we send to each other. It's not about anything else. It's all about food. And so when I came over, I then started to write books. So I wrote three books, and hopefully we'll write another ones. But I started writing books, and they were all about food. They're memoirs about food because food is how I see um, my life. Some people listen to music. Some people, I know a lot of people with autism, they'll listen to music or they'll listen, but all the time I specialize in cooking. After I finish with you, I'm going to cook lunch for my wife, and I go and do something really special. Um, so that's how I got into food. But when I came over to the US to marry my wife, because I'm from originally the north of England, but I came down to London for 20 something years, probably longer than you've been alive. I came down to London and I was there for 20 something, no, 30 years, in fact. And I used to write about food. So I was one of the first bloggers, in the world talking about food, and we had a good time. And then when I finally came over to America to marry, we've been married for 16 years now. That's when I started to get into the Food Network. And that's why I've done, oh gosh, 300, 400 shows now, which is a lot, I think. Um, and I'm still going, and they still hopefully like me. And that's how I started. So that's the end. And I do podcasts about food history. Food history is my real passion. So when you have an apple, if you think of an apple, you think, well, it's just an everyday fruit. But I found out that it originated in Kazakhstan, and I'm going, how did it originate in Kazakhstan? So I always look at the histories of things, and so that's what I do. Um, and so right now I'm writing, something about Tupperware. I'm not sure if you remember Tupperware, but it's a plastic container that they put in the fridge. But that's got a fascinating history, even though it's just um, you know what a container that they put in the fridge. So anyway, that's how I came into the Food Network. That's how I got involved because a lot of people are chefs on there. A lot of people are chefs. And I'm a good chef, but I'm not as good as all of those. But what I do is I bring an expertise to it, and that's the key. So whenever they ask me, I'll go, "Yep, if I can know about this, then I'll come on and I'll do it." And so that's what I'm doing. And so that's why with Tournament of Champions, I'm always the one scribbling or asking the judges what they do. And so that's really how I've gone from, going from theology to working in books as a publisher to becoming a writer to getting onto Food Network. And that's been so good for me.
Yeah, I can tell. That's definitely an amazing story. I didn't know that apples originated in Casanova. I honestly gotta read that story on that now. That said, I brought you on because you have a nephew on the spectrum. So my next question for you is, when you first found out that your nephew was diagnosed as being on the spectrum, what resources, as far as you know, were provided, and how did you support him in his journey?
Well, he wasn't. He was born a long. No, about 5 or 6 years. No, a long. Trying to think now. He's 25, so he was born about 6 years before I came over here, and so at the time, I saw what I normally did. Though I always supported autism and all of this because that was in England as well. Obviously, we have a lot of autism, is occurring in England as well. And so the first thing that I ever did, I just wanted to find out who he was. He's an amazing, and the key is that he's an amazing gentleman. So he can't live by himself. So that's something that we have to take in mind. And his brother, who's been in college around the world now, is coming back because when his mother is, quite frankly, is gone, he needs someone to look after him. And so he's going to be with his brother. He's going into an assisted place for people with autism. He's going to have his own flat. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get him into a great place. But the thing is that he's an artist. He draws the most incredible pictures. And so I'm looking at him and saying he's so good with everybody that he meets. And so he does have problems. He's always, if we get together he's staying with his mother right now. If we get together, he always disappears upstairs because even if there's like 3 or 4 of us or 5 of us, he just can't deal with it. So he'll disappear upstairs. But then he'll turn up at the thing and he'll ask me a question. He goes, which is the more green, this green or that green? And that's the thing he focuses on. And so I'll always be one of the people who goes up to him and says, oh, it's this green, not that green. And he goes, why is it that green? And that's the thing I'm trying to fit with him. But what I've noticed is that he's becoming, he still has that as what's the word, as a mark he has to have. Is this blue or is that the same blue? And that's one of the things he comes up to us with. But I have noticed when we went to an art gallery, the Broad in LA, he knew so much about the art. And that was the key, because you're saying, you know so much. I mean, he knew more than I did. And so he was pointing at all the things. He goes, oh, that's so-and-so, isn't it? And this is, so-and-so. And so that was his key. That was the key that he had. And that was, I found fantastic. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not an expert. I'm not. But what I can do is I can be very happy with being with him. We'll just sit and we'll watch the TV, or we'll sit and watch, he only wants to watch certain TV shows. He only wants to watch certain areas. So, but I'll sit and I'll watch with him, or we'll sit and, so I say, I'm not an expert, but I'm a supporter. That's what I am. And I think that's the key, because we have a lot of people in this world who don't understand it. And I'm not an expert, as I said, but I try and that's the key. Try to understand it, because it goes over quite a wide period, over a wide area, autism, you know.
Yeah, I
You
absolutely agree.
and you come out of it, very well. You're the way that you talk, everything about what you say is very great. He's not at that point yet. And a lot of them, I went with him to his high school, and this was a little while ago now, but some of the people went there and they had to be, they went behind like curtains because they couldn't see anybody else, and you've seen that before, the people who have autism, but they can't see anybody, they can, so they're almost shielded from the rest of the people there. You had some people who are um, very competitive. So my nephew is very competitive, and there was one other person in his class who was very competitive, and you could see them kind of having a little fight, and that was not a fight, but it was, because the competitive side of them came out because I was in the thing. And so when I got them to make cheese sandwiches with bacon, that was the thing I got them to do. They were having this kind of argument about who would be first in the to go up to the little oven, and this was a side that I could see from them. But the others were all a bit more quiet, or or just not, or watching these two to see what they did, and then they did the same. So the thing is, it's such a wide area, and that's the other thing. As a supporter, I always say I have to watch, and so I go and do these things, and some of them, like you know Cutthroat Kitchen, but some of them didn't know who I was, but they knew that I was somebody from television, or so, and so for me, you've got to just be, um, again, supportive. That's what everyone should do. Everyone should do, but some people just, they run away from it.
I absolutely agree. I think not just with autism, but with anything anyone's going through, support and empathy are honestly key, especially in today's society. My next question for you is: as an autistic individuals sometimes have food aversions, which means they have to have a food a certain way and are sensitive to certain tastes or textures. I personally wrote an article about it for a couple of magazines where I dive into this. My question for you, as someone in the culinary field, how do you handle food aversions for your nephew?
Well, we basically will have him um, have his own food. And so, for example, I always go over when I'm in town, I always go over to his house at Christmas. And I could make, and I do sometimes, I'll make, a turkey, or I'll make the green bean salad, or I'll make the whatever, or the green bean casserole. And I remember one time when I didn't know all of this, he said, no, no. I brought out this casserole, green bean casserole, and I'd spent a long time doing it because I wanted to make the white sauce. I wanted to make all of the fillings, and I thought, oh, he's going to like this because I put a lot of time into it. And he said, this isn't working. And I went, oh, why not? I'm very, and he said, it's not like the green bean casserole I get from the supermarket, where you can buy a little packet of it and you can have it like that. And then I realized that's what he loves. And so from then on, I said, oh, God, okay. And so what I'll do is I will just make the green bean casserole with him there. because he gets it, and he's so grateful. Not grateful. That sounds bad. He has so much with when I'm cooking it. He's he loves watching me do it, and so that's one of the keys. Um, Understanding what types of food. And so when we cook a lot of it, he doesn't like turkey. He doesn't like, and he's very, very assertive about what he likes. And I go, but I am too. I can't eat a grapefruit because I take tablets. I can't eat. So there's lots of things that I'm very um, careful of. So I'm fine with him doing whatever he wants to do. And that's the key, I think.
Hey, hey, sorry about this. Hey guys, it's all right. Lay down. We'll go. We'll go.
Can I see your dog?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You can. Come on, guys. You want to say hi? You're
I
you're
love
okay.
I
You're
love seeing your dogs. I love dogs.
yeah. You're okay, guys. Here. You're lay down. Here. You want to say? Sorry about that. That's actually a really great approach to food. Knowing the types and having the autistic individual will make it with you. That could definitely work. And I touched on that in the article I wrote. My last question for you is: what's your advice to any family member who has a member on the spectrum and may not know what to do?
Gosh, well, for me, again, I keep coming back to this word. It's about being supportive. So my nephew.
Hey.
Oh, I wish I could see this dog. He sounds very friendly. What kind of dog is he? Sorry, I've got to find out this.
Golden retrievers.
Don't worry, the dogs are wonderful. No, so the key is that they should be.
Hey, come on,
I
guys.
think he's brilliant.
Go lay down. Go. 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 That's all right.
No, that's it's. Trust me, I love dogs. Anyway, so the key is for me for being what, and I think, say, if the child is born into the family and they have this, I always say it's not an issue. It's just, we've all got issues, and this is just theirs. And yes, it can be a longer term, and it could mean that they're going to a place where they can be taken care of because they've got, if they've got a very severe form of autism, then that's more difficult. But the key is that you don't treat them as an odd person. You treat them as supportive. But that's true with everyone. And so for me, you have to treat them as a member of the family. And that's the key. You treat them as a member of the family, not that odd woman or man over there. You go, they're a member of our family. And there's lots of people who have, people can be, have deafness, people can be blind, people can have a lot of problems that they have. I'll tell you now, if you look at my head there, I have a brain cancer. I have a brain cancer. Well, that happens, and I've got to deal with it. And what's good to me is everyone in my family supports me, and that's how it should be for people with autism. It should be everyone supports them. And they could be good, or they could be higher up the social the spectrum, or right towards the bottom, where I'm sorry, that's not even a right word because that makes it sound bad, but they can be across the range of the spectrum. That's the best way I should say it. And what they should have is everywhere they should go, they should have the support of their family, the support of their teachers, the support of people who know their friends and family. And that's the key. And what I find is that a lot of the family will just avoid someone across that spectrum because they don't know how to deal with it. And a lot of friends will avoid anyone on that spectrum. And that to me is something that I think is very, it's sad because I love hanging out with my nephew. And he's a great person. He's a terrific person. Yes, he's got odd, what's the word? He's got odd things about him, but so have I. So have everybody. And I think that's the key. You have to treat the person as normally as you can. And I'm sorry, I'm getting all the wrong words maybe here because I don't know the way that you people try and describe it sometimes on the who talk about autism regularly. Um, but what I do is I try to be supportive all the time, and that's it. And I keep mentioning that thing supportive, but as not an expert, that's how I try to be.
That's the best advice I've ever heard since doing this. That's the key to anything: support, and empathy, and treating everyone, no matter what they're going through, as equals in society. I think we remember that.
You've got to treat them as they are equals. They are equals. They've got things that they're doing that I look at sometimes. Like Mark is a great artist. Like I said, he's always drawing pictures, and I go, I can't do that. It's brilliant, and that's a key because I go, I just can't do that. So, there's lots of things that anyone with autism can do, and it can make the people with their own thing really envious sometimes. So sometimes, we've got to be really, we've got to be, as I said, very supportive and very kind, and that's the best thing. And that's the same for everybody. We've got to be kind to everyone, and we've got to be very supportive of everyone, and that's the key.
I absolutely agree.
I hope I've not said all the wrong words when I've been.
No, that was probably some of my favorite advice I've heard since I started this. Anyways, that's going to do it for this interview. Thank you so much to Simon for coming on our longest episode yet. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. And just a reminder that our May issue is out now, so you can get that by going to autismdigest.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.